Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to Step Through the Ropes, Volume 33. Months after losing Nature Boy Ric Flair to rival WWF, WCW attempted to bounce back by putting together what they wanted as a 1990s version of the Four Horsemen group. Now, what happened was, Paulie Dangerously, aka Paul Heyman, was going to manage the group. However, he felt that one person was missing. Now, to set the whole thing up, you go back to when Paulie first came to Jim Crockett Promotions in 1988, which later became WCW. He was managing original Midnight Express, Randy Rose and Dennis Condrey, and a feud with Jim Cornette's Midnight Express, Stan Lane and the late Bobby Eaton. At some point, that feud came to an end, and Paul started managing the Samoan SWAT team, Samoan Fatu, who later became the Head Shrinkers, and then Heyman settled into, I guess, a commentary role as the Samoan SWAT team went on to be managed by the late Oliver Humperdinck. In 1990, he started managing again when he had purchased from Teddy Long Mean Mark Callis, who later became The Undertaker, his contract, managed him up until he left WCW. And then Paulie was commentating like for the rest of 1990 and most of 91. And as a way of setting things up, Heyman was fired from his commentary position on numerous WCW television broadcasts. And eventually he resurfaces at the 1991 Halloween Havoc pay-per-view, vowing revenge on WCW, putting together a group to tear the company down brick by brick, and he enlisted on the WCW Halloween Phantom, who unmasks himself, and it's none other than Ravishing Rick Rude, who immediately targets Sting, the franchise of WCW, and also Medusa had joined Heyman that night. Less than a month later, at Clash of the Champions 17, Rude defeats Sting to win the United States Championship. And then that weekend on World Championship Wrestling, which later became WCW Saturday Night, Heyman introduces Arn Anderson, Larry Zbyszko, then to World TV Champion Stunning Steve Austin, and Larry Zbyszko, and Beautiful Bobby Eaton, and they are collectively known as the Dangerous Alliance. Now, as I said, it was supposed to be a Four Horsemen group of the 1990s. However, Paul Heyman wanted Steve Austin part of the group, so that made a five male wrestler group with Heyman managing and Medusa there as well. Well, and things really were going well for the group. By Clash of the Champions 18 in January 1992, Rude was the United States Champion, Austin was World Television Champion, Anderson and Eaton had won the World Tag Team Championship by the time that clash took place, and Rude and Austin main evented that clash in a losing effort to Sting and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, while Anderson, Eaton, and Larry Zbyszko were defeated by Ron Simmons, Dustin Rhodes, and Barry Windham. A month later at Super Brawl 2, Anderson and Eaton were victorious by disqualification over the Steiner Brothers to retain their tag belts. Rude retained the U.S. title over Ricky Steamboat, while Zbyszko and Austin lost a tag match to Barry Windham and Dustin Rhodes. From there, at Wrestle War 92, the entire Dangerous Alliance lost a 5-on-5 War Games match to Sting, Rhodes, Windham, Steamboat, and Nikita Koloff when teammate Zbyszko accidentally hits Eaton in the arm with the hook that connects the turnbuckle to the ring post. And after the match is over, they're all blaming Zbyszko, and then within the next month, there was like signs of dissension, and Zbyszko eventually was out of the group. And I know he teamed with the late Brian Pillman, losing to Anderson and Eaton, and that was a way of phasing Zbyszko out because he was going to become a part of the announce team in WCW. But Zbyszko, in the process, Anderson and Eaton started going under the tutelage of Michael P.S. Hayes of Fabulous Freebird fame. That was in the summer of '92. Um, from there, at Clash of the Champions 20, Eaton and Anderson defeat Greg the Hammer Valentine, Dirty Dick Slater, who had Zbyszko in their corner for that match. Austin loses the World Television title to Ricky Steamboat. And Rude main evented the show, teaming with Jake Roberts, Vader, and the Super Invader, defeating Sting, the Steiner Brothers, and Nikita Koloff in an 8-man elimination matchup. Now, at that point, it seemed like Medusa was sticking with Rude, and Paul was sticking with Austin. Austin then started teaming with the late Brian Pillman. Rude was setting his sights on NWA champion Masahiro Chono. At Halloween Havoc 92, Rude was set to challenge Chono for the belt, but then Bill Watts had announced that Rude was also going to have to defend his U.S. belt against Nikita Koloff in the same pay-per-view. Paul Heyman returned that night after not being seen on TV for over a month, and I don't know, Heyman was the one responsible for making Rude wrestle twice, so he was the one responsible for Vader replacing Rude in that match with Koloff, where Vader retained the U.S. belt for Rude. And Heyman fires Medusa, only for Medusa to retaliate and do a number on him. The two of them had a 5-minute match at Clash of the Champions 21, and it wasn't much of a match because Paul Heyman is no athlete. Of note that night, Anderson and Eaton lost to Eric Watts and Kensuke Sasaki. Rude lost by decision to Sting in the semifinal match of the King of Cable tournament. Steve Austin didn't wrestle on that Clash. Anderson, they got injured by the end of 92 and didn't return until spring of 93. Eaton was released from WCW, went off to Smoky Mountain Wrestling, which Jim Cornette started. Cornette and Watts had a short-lived deal in early 93 for the Smoky Mountain Tag Team Champions, the original Heavenly Bodies, Stan Lane and Tom Pritchard, to work with the Rock and Roll Express, and the deal was off when Bill Watts was out of WCW in early 93. But I think, I don't know, I could say it was the fall of 92 or by the end of 1992, the Dangerous Alliance group was no more, as mentioned. Anderson was injured, Eaton was out of WCW, Austin was teaming with Pillman, Rude suffered a neck injury which prevented him from challenging Ron Simmons for the WCW World title at Starrcade, and ultimately was stripped of the United States Championship. Rude didn't return to action until spring of 93, and in the process Medusa ended up leaving WCW, and Heyman was seemingly fired from WCW either late 92 or early 93. I don't know about the rest of you, but I think that was a pretty good idea. I don't know who really masterminded it, the whole group and stuff. But I don't know if it's poor booking. They were victims of circumstances. You know, what do you think? You think they could have gotten more mileage out of their group? You think they could have ran a bit, given the opportunity to run harder? Let me know what you think in the comments, folks. And hope to have more Step to the Ropes topics for you.